Ellis Allen, the alleged third great gatecrasher, was on Good Morning America this morning with Robin Roberts, and here's what he had to say.
Why didn't you take a picture of that to prove with your name on it? Do you have that?
Well, that's the only thing that I received in the actual mail. So that's what I used as the actual information that I took to the actual White House to get in as far as being an invitee at the actual White House.
Actually, 21 times he said it during that interview. As a matter of fact, the actual White House, not to be an actual invitation. You can.
It was
still
a bizarre
that.
interview, and apparently that invitation was not an invitation at all. It was the program that was on the dinner tables.
Actually not. Okay. Justin Safey joining us now. He is a former spokesman and a top aide to former Governor Jeb Bush of Florida, and now the publisher of SafeyReview.com, a go-to place for Florida politics. And we want to talk.
Go-to place.
We got to talk. We got to talk Florida. It's in the news a lot. Obviously, it was in the New York Times Magazine just over the weekend. And what are the implications, though, of the fact that the Republican Party chairman was forced out? Just kind of a microcosm of this big Tea Party fight we've seen.
Sure. Well, I think that Chairman Jim Greer, the chairman of the Republican Party of Florida, resigned just last week. He was handpicked by Governor Charlie Crist, who's facing a primary challenge by former House Speaker Marco Rubio. You know, a lot of people, I think nationally, maybe here in Washington, would like to nationalize the resignation of Jim Greer, but I think it really had a lot more to do with his personal style and the way he was perceived by members of the local parties and the party establishment and the grassroots of the Republican Party in Florida.
That's not to say, though, that there's not this conservative, Tea Party, anti-establishment movement that really is fueling the Rubio candidacy. And we do see in the Senate race at large between Crist and Rubio this divide that we're seeing around the country, no?
Sure, yes. We are seeing a divide. We're seeing Governor Crist, who's governed much more moderately than his predecessor, Jeb Bush.
Endorsed the stimulus bill?
Endorsed the stimulus bill, was with President Barack Obama when he came to Florida. But I would also point out that a lot of Republican governors accepted the stimulus dollars. Marco Rubio said that he would consider accepting those stimulus dollars. So really what's happening is I don't know if it's the Tea Party necessarily, but there are conservatives in Florida and the Florida Republican Party that have been unhappy with Governor Crist's leadership. However, Governor Crist has developed a pretty good conservative record in Florida, and we'll have to it remains to be seen what happens. This is definitely a hill to die on for conservatives, getting a lot of national attention from a lot of conservatives nationally.
And is Charlie Crist doing anything to kind of turn around this perception of his image? There's been so much made. He's been defined so much nationally and locally by not being a conservative.
Right. Well, no, that's true. He has been, and I think that that's what you're going to see more and more. Just last week, I thought it was interesting. He took a whack at Barack Obama on the transparency issue in terms of not broadcasting the healthcare negotiations on C-SPAN, as he promised several times during the campaign. And I thought that was interesting to see Governor Crist really make a move against Barack Obama on the issue of healthcare. And I think you're probably going to see more of that as the campaign progresses.
I have no doubt that we will. Although looking at this Republican primary is fascinating, in your assessment, the likely Democratic nominee, Kendrick Meek, the congressman from Florida, in your assessment, doesn't really have a great chance against either one of these Republican nominees.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, Kendrick Meek, he's never run statewide before. If the nominee is Charlie Crist, and he's still a strong favorite to win the race, Charlie Crist's been on the statewide ballot a number of times, and Meek's running statewide for the first time. So, you know, the Democrats don't have a strong candidate in this race, although Kendrick Meek has traveled the state. He did support a constitutional amendment to reduce class sizes several years ago. So he does have some statewide exposure, but not the strongest candidate for the Democrats.
And do you sense that the Republican primary will go the distance? The primary is in August, right?
It's August 24th.
Do you think this will go the distance? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. I think it's going to go the distance, and there are millions of dollars spent on both sides, both by Crist and by Rubio.
Well, I hope it's not a disappointment after all that. Justin, put on your Republican strategist hat on for a second. You saw the comments from Harry Reid that were reported over the weekend. A couple of senators have been asking for him, including and Michael Steele as well, asking for him to resign his leadership post. How far can Republicans or should Republicans be pushing that angle here?
Well, I think it's natural to expect Republicans to call for that. I think obviously it's another black eye for Harry Reid, and as your earlier guest mentioned, he's not good with words sometimes, but this really does it really challenges the Democrats. It challenges the Democratic Party leader because it gives Republicans something to correctly criticize him for. I mean, the use of the language that he used was just out of touch. People don't talk like that. And I think that that, in addition to other things that are going on in Congress, really makes it seem like what's happening in Congress and what's happening in the Senate is out of touch with where the American people are in healthcare, because the polls, as we all know, show that more Americans oppose healthcare reform than support it.
One final in our final 15 seconds here, back to Florida for a moment.
Yep.
Just as the ultimate battleground state that there is in
Yes.
the country, the president's popularity down there, like it is everywhere nationally, but is this still a state that is totally within the realm of being in his column in 2012?
In Barack
Yeah.
Obama's column, that remains to be seen. You know, out of the last 4 presidential elections, Democrats have won it twice, Republicans have won it twice. It's the biggest battleground state. We're going to pick up one more electoral college vote next time, so it'll be a
That
big
much
one.
more
So
important.
we'll be down there again. I love it. Justin Safey, SafeyReview.com. Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That does it for this edition of Top Line. Be sure to click us on again tomorrow.
Twitter.com/The Note. And even if you are more in politics than Harry Reid, you're still invited to Twitter us back. See you there.